Hi and welcome to WEH Videos. My name is Skip and this is going to be a short video for some tips and some troubleshooting for your 3D cockpit for you guys and gals who have been trying to get a cockpit in your airplane that doesn't have one. So I want to start off with what I think is probably going to be pretty important, not now, but maybe in a couple of months or a year or so. You're going to want to make some changes and you realize that Blender has changed and X-Plane to Blender has changed and now they don't function. When you downloaded the importer in X-Plane to Blender in Blender, I suggest you save those files because you can always go back and reload them and use the older versions to get your airplanes loaded into Blender again. I actually just had to do that. Today I had an airplane, my beautiful Matt's airplane. I wanted to modify it and I couldn't load it. So I ended up doing this in an older version, version 2.8. As you can see, I've got the airplane loaded now and it's working. It would not load in the 2.93 version. So save those old files. Another tip I have is for the cube itself in Blender. When you have it selected, notice the size of this. Now we had to resize it sometimes and sometimes we didn't, so I suggest you start out with a fairly large cube. You hit the G key and you move it around. Now, since the cockpit is on this face, if you align that face up right around the windows, just below the window, you're going to have it in a pretty good position. And when we go this way, we can see that it's pretty much inside the airplane. This is important. Now, one problem I had with this size was on this airplane, when I brought the landing gear up, it came into the cockpit. So I had to go and hit scale S. Sorry, we got it selected. We hit S for scale, and we just shrink it down a little bit, and then we grab it and we move it back to just below the windshield. And we give that a try. So then we go File and Save, and then we go up to our little tab here and we scroll up to the export and export it. So when you open up your airplane in X-Plane and you are inside the cockpit and you're in a pretty decent position, don't come back to Blender. Everything else you need to do can be done in Plane Maker. If you come back to Blender and reposition this, all the work that you did with the viewpoint and things like that are out the window. You'll have to start all over. And if you just use X-Plane, it's a whole lot easier. And you get to use the developer reload aircraft option. The other thing is, every time you make a change in Blender, you're going to have to come here to our miscellaneous objects and remove the DC-4 cockpit object. You need to get rid of that. And then you go up here and you're going to go File, Save. And then I recommend you go File, Open, and reopen the program again so it clears all that stuff out. Then we go back to Standards, Miscellaneous Options. We click Add, and we go through the process again. We're going to add, we're going to go to Objects, and we're going to get the cockpit, and we're going to open it, and we're going to go through this routine again, and we're going to go File, Save, and now we open it up in X-Plane. And again, you're going to have to open up a new airplane and then close that and then open up the airplane you're working on for those things to take effect. So you can avoid that by just not going back to Blender unless absolutely necessary. So now I want to give you some troubleshooting tips. We've got the cube right where we want. We're all ready to go, and we've got everything just as we were instructed, and we come over here and we hit Export, and we get this warning. X-Plane to Blender, Export Log Warning. Export Product Error or Warning. Please see internal text file X-Plane to Blender log. Well, what is that? Well, if we come over here down to the lower left, you're going to see this little clock with a drop down. We're going to click on that and move up so you get into this place here. And we're going to click on Text Editor. And then we come over to the middle, and there's this little booklet type thing, and we click on that, and we see it says Explain to Bender Log. So we click on that, and now we have to bring this up. And if we click here, it says error. Point is automatic light, but no light named. Well, what does that mean? Automatic light, but no light name. Well, if you remember from our first time we did this, the first thing I mentioned was you need to delete the camera and the light. So let's go up here, and we're going to delete the camera, and we're going to delete the light. And now, hopefully, we won't have an error. Let's see what happens. So we've taken care of that. Now we should be able to export. So let's try again. Well, we have another error. So let's come back over here to our text editor and go to Explain and come up here and see what it says. We're going to click and scroll up here. Error. No material found. Well, what does that mean? All right, so let's go back to the cube. And we're going to click on the Materials tab. Well, it's gone. Whatever happened, our material, which is the PNG file on the cube, is missing. So when you first started this, if you didn't have a material, if it is blank like that, here's the answer. You need to select New. So we're going to go New Material, and the view is going to be the square guy. And then we're going to go through the process again. And I'll go ahead and do that and come right back. All right, here we have the image, so we know it's on the cube. And I went down and I made sure it says part of Cockpit. So we're looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and export. So we go back here and we export. It worked. So we should be fine. Now the other problem you can have is you may have two materials on here. You can't do that. You cannot have more than one for this to work. Explain will not export two materials. So you couldn't put another image on top of this or anything else. That won't work. Another unlikely error might be on the Collections tab where it says root collection. You somehow may have created two collections there, and that's not going to work. You can only have one. Now this is pretty hard to do, but it says other collections. If you click on that and there's another collection there, then you've got a problem. You need to delete that. So that's it for the collections, and that's it for the errors in Blender, at least the ones I can think of right now. And now I want to give you a tip on the viewpoints. So when we go to viewpoints, when you're making these changes, don't just adjust the long arm and get that in what you think is the right position and then go to the next one. They all have an effect on each other, so you want to change these as you go. So make a long arm change and then maybe a lateral or a vertical change, maybe do two at a time. But you cannot just do one and think you have it and then change the others. It'll throw it all off. So you want to be careful when you're doing this. I usually start with big changes at first, and once I see what's going on, I make very small adjustments, and I work up and down through all of them to make sure that what I did with one doesn't ruin the other. So that's that part of the viewpoint. The other thing is aircraft and panel visibility. So this is show cockpit object in, and then you have these different views where you can see it. And then it has the external or the exterior aircraft structure and props. So this is what's going to be visible when these are checked on the exterior of the airplane. And you just have to mess around with these and see what works for you. Go outside, take a look, and make sure everything's okay. These are the settings I have. And finally, I want to give you just a little preview of what you can do with your PNG file. So if you remember my Matt's airplane, this is the cockpit. And I've never liked this side because normally with these airplanes, they only give you just a little more than half the cockpit. You don't get the full cockpit. And that's always kind of lousy. So what I did is I took that image and put it in the GIMP, and I sliced it in half and then inverted it and pasted it on this side and created a full cockpit. What I had to do then was go into PlaneMaker and reduce the size of all the instruments and move them over to get this look. And now it looks more like a real cockpit. Still work to do. I want to clean some of this stuff up. But if you stick with this, you can actually have a really nice looking cockpit for just a little bit of time and effort. So that's it for this video on tips and troubleshooting and things to look forward to here. So if you like this, please click the like button. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I answer all of them. So thank you for watching, and God bless.